What is going on, Guardians, and welcome back to another Destiny gameplay video. Hey, I've been having fun lately. This is a loadout I've been using just to kind of brush up on my close quarters skills. Been rocking the universal remote and the vacancy fusion rifle, which I just did a video on yesterday if you want to hear my opinions on it. But anyways, I'm using this loadout not because it's good. That's definitely not why I'm using it. I'm using this loadout because it forces you to be creative. Look at, I'm in the middle of lots of red dots here, and I take lots of damage. And sort of picking my battles wisely, using my, hugging these walls, using all this horizontal cover, visual cover to my advantage, just to kind of, keep myself from getting finished off, because I get primed quite a bit. But and that's going to be sort of a recurring theme in this video, is is me being in the middle of a lot of action and managing to survive or at least get 2 to 3 kills before getting taken out. So this loadout I'm using, like I said, it's not good. It's not a very advantageous loadout. It's just for kicks and giggles. And a lot of times when I play Crucible, that's exactly what I do. I just go in here and try and force myself to play in a different way, and that sort of keeps me fresh. So now when I'm using this combination, I have to make creative approaches. There's a lot of open space on these maps, on most of these maps, and so I sort of have to think about, okay, well, how am I going to close the gap? And that's one of the things that Destiny is great at. There's so much player mobility. There are lots of ways that you can move your character, lots of abilities that are movement related. You've got things like Twilight Garrison, you got Shade Step, you got Blink. You've got all kinds of mobility options to help you close gaps creatively. You've got lots of vertical space you can use. The jumps in Destiny take you really, really high comparatively to other shooters. So there's this whole vertical aspect of the map that you can use to your advantage. So one of the biggest things that you can do to improve your close quarters gameplay is starting to think about approaches. And that also has to do with being mindful about the map itself, what kind of space is available to you in certain areas of the map. And I'll show you later in the video a match that I played on Shores of Time. This match here, actually, I'll show you some bits and pieces of this one. But here you see I'm pushing into the enemy spawn. There's literally, I think there's 5 guys here, and I'm going to take 3 of them out before going down. So having a 3-to-1 KD is fantastic, and it's all about using the cover. See, I'm blinking from cover to cover using the rocks, hugging these walls to limit how many people can actually see me. I didn't realize this guy was still back in the corner anchoring the spawn, or else I may have been able to get even more kills. But yeah, being mindful of the cover that's available to you. Another thing here show you is grenade use, equipment use in general. So sometimes these close quarters weapons, right there is one hit kill, but here this guy jukes me a little bit and I prime him, but then I just back up and throw the grenade right in the choke point where I know he's going to come through if he chooses to pursue. So that's a major factor of being a close quarters monster, is looking at what's cooled down and speccing to cool those things down more quickly. Depends on the subclass that you're running, but when I'm running my Void Walker, I tend to try and prioritize discipline, because it's really nice to have those grenades cooled down. I go Intellect Discipline on my Void Walker, so I can do stuff like this, push for heavy spawns, and get 3-to-1 here. That's always a good trade when you take 3 guys out before you go down. Hey, if you always did that, you'd have a 3.0 KD. That's monstrous. So yeah, being able to manage multiple opponents in close quarters is a tricky thing, and a lot of people really struggle with it. But it has to, honestly, it just has to do with the way that you move. It's all about mobility. So one of the things that I would suggest that you do, target acquisition is tough to do when you're really mobile. So what I would suggest that you do is find a good balance in terms of a look sensitivity that prefers that sort of a play style, but is also not disorienting. So I typically play on 3 because I snipe a lot. So I tend to have my sensitivity set at 3. But when I'm using this kind of a loadout where I have no long distance weapons available to me, I bump that up to 5. Now, I don't really suggest that you go higher than 5. Almost all competitive players play 5 and below. There are the exceptions, but for the most part, you don't want to get to a point where your look sensitivity is actually it's actually hurting your gameplay and hurting your target acquisition. Sure, you can swivel around faster, but you'll probably be missing more shots with your primary weapon if your sensitivity is jacked up too high. So I don't suggest, personally, I don't suggest you go above 5, but when I'm doing close quarter stuff like this, I do crank it up to 5. Normally I play at 3, but 5 for stuff like this, because being able to swivel and follow targets in close quarters, because obviously the same guy making the same motion from a long ways away is pretty easy to track, but when he's making that exact same motion at point blank range, he goes from being in the middle of your screen to completely vanishing. But if you're back hard scoping, he just moves slightly in your sight picture. So I mean, that's just kind of obvious physics and depth perception, all that kind of business. But anyways, when you're in close quarters, it's really easy to lose people. So I recommend that you have your sensitivity up to 5. But anyways, I suggest you kind of mix your loadouts up a bit, guys. I do this all the time. It's such a fun way to play the game, especially when you're playing solo, because sometimes playing solo can get you kind of salty. But and you know, when I do stuff like this, I don't always have monstrous games. When I do these challenges, sometimes I have bad games. I get teabagged a lot. People send me messages like, "You're not as good as I thought you were." You just kind of chuckle it, laugh it off. It's NBD. You're just playing the game for fun. Remember that games are to be played for fun. But I managed to have over a 2.2 KD with 31 kills on one of the biggest maps in the Control playlist using a shotgun and a fusion rifle. But anyways, so I suggest, guys, practice your CQC. Do loadouts like this. It's just fun. So hopefully you enjoyed the video, guys. I'll catch you in the Crucible.